Class is in session. All right, everyone. Where are my reading glasses? Hold on a second. Where did I put my readers? Where did I put them? Aha! Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome back to the Mind Exhibit. Today, we're going to be talking about a true piece of cinema, The School of Rock, starring Jack Black and directed by Richard Linklater. This film came out in 2003, and it is one of Linklater's best pieces, and I haven't had the pleasure to see as many of his films as I'd like to. I know that he did the Before trilogy, and I'm really wanting to see that one. He did Boyhood, Bernie. I've seen Dazed and Confused. I haven't seen Everybody Wants Some, which is, I think, the kind of 80s version of Dazed and Confused. But Linklater's passion is, and he said this, it's on his IMDb, is the youthful rebellion continuum. So this is a great example of that passion coming through on the screen, starring eternal youth Jack Black. And Jack Black as well has a very interesting life and career. He actually was the son of aerospace engineers, and his mom was a key component of the Apollo 13 missions. So she was transmitting data to the astronauts as she was pregnant and in labor with Jack Black himself. Jack unfortunately did not share this zest for math, science, reading, writing, in his own words. He found himself in acting in young age, and he continued on with that until he found the music scene in the 80s, and from there he did end up having some problems with addiction. But Jack was able to get back into his love of acting, and he ended up figuring out that he was actually quite musically talented as well, and he formed the duo Tenacious D, and the rest is history. He ended up getting the School of Rock. This was his, I think, third film, TV appearance, and honestly, I don't think anyone else could have played this role the way that Mr. Black did. He absolutely is the reason why this film is so incredible and holds up today. So we're going to get into the plot, and we're going to talk a little bit about what it means to be cool. So The School of Rock is such a good movie. What was I going to say? The School of Rock opens with Dewey Finn playing with his band at a gig in a bar, kind of a dive venue situation, and he is, he's passionate about the music. You can tell that he's really into it, and he's loving his life as a musician. He's got the guitar solo, and he's telling the guy in the back to turn the amp up for him. And then we cut to this guy texting, "These guys suck, leave." No one is enjoying the music as much as Jack is enjoying his own ego playing the guitar, and he stage dives and lands on nobody to catch him, which we get a match cut to him laying face down in bed. It's clearly the middle of the day, or mid-afternoon or mid-morning kind of situation, and we meet Jack Black's characters' roommates, Patty and Ned. Ned was one of Dewey's bandmates back in the day, but now he is a substitute teacher. And his girlfriend is the mayor's assistant, and she's a total type A, nag kind of girlfriend, right? And she is telling Ned to ask Dewey for his share of the rent. Dewey's like, "Oh, come on, man, you know I don't have it." But basically, Ned gives him an ultimatum that he has to come up with his half of the rent, for the month by the end of the week, or he is kicked out of the apartment. And then Dewey is like, well, you know what, it's fine, because my band is gonna go to Battle of Bands this year, we're gonna make it big, and then I'll have the money for you. So he goes to his band practice. The main singer of the band, Theo, is like, Dewey, you're out. This is Spider, he's replacing you. Spider's just like, sup, man? So Dewey's kicked out of the band, and he's obviously pissed, and so he goes home and he's on the phone with some buyer. He's like trying to sell his guitars. You know, he's got to do something for money, otherwise he's going to have nowhere to live. Instead, though, he hangs up the phone, and then he gets another call, and hi, this is Horace Green Prep. It's Roseanne Mullins on the phone, the principal of a prestigious elementary school, asking for Dewey's roommate, Ned Schneebly. And suddenly having a little brainwave, Dewey's like, so how much are we talking here for this substitute teacher job that you want Ned for? And, you know, she tells him, and he is like, hold on one second.
Hello, this is Ned Schneebly.
Oh, hello, this is Ned Schneebly. So the next day, Dewey goes to school, and he is shown to his classroom, and he's teaching a class. I think they're 3rd or 4th graders. They look like they're about 9 or 10. At first, he does not want to be there. He's just there for the money, right? He's like, all right, who's got food in here? I've got a hangover.
Doesn't that mean you're drunk?
No, it means I was drunk yesterday.
You know, someone gives him a sandwich, and he's like, we're just gonna have recess. And then we meet little Miranda Cosgrove, little Miss iCarly herself, little baby iCarly. And she's like, how are we gonna have grades if we don't have recess? And Jack Black, seeing the stars and demerits on the wall, rips them down and says, no more grades, no more demerits. Oh yeah, Freddie Jones, shut up. It's the next day of school, and trying to figure out something to do. You know, the kids are like, are you gonna teach us anything? Just do whatever you want. And they're like, little iCarly's like, I want to learn from my teacher. The kids are trying to figure out what's going on here. Like, they're not getting taught anything. It's probably really weird for them. And Dewey, being down on his luck, not having anyone to join his band, starts to give the lecture on life. He starts with, just give up. Just quit. Because in life, everything's run by the man. And he gives this beautiful speech about Okay. And so he's talking about And Dewey's giving this impassioned speech about the man, and then Miss Mullins walks in and says, it's time for the kids to have their music class. And we've got Jack Black, eyebrow motion, coming up with a wonderful idea, seeing how wonderful these children are at music. He's like, you guys can really play. Why didn't anyone tell me? Until we get this pivotal scene. He brings up this kid, Zach, hasn't played the guitar. He brings up this kid, Lawrence, hasn't played the keys. And he brings up this girl, Katie. He's like, what do you play? A cello. Oh, we'll turn it like this, cello, and you've got a bass. Freddie, percussion, plays the drums. They've got a band. They go to lunch, and Jack's like, well, after lunch, I'll give you all killer positions. And at lunch, the keyboardist, Lawrence, this cute kid, he comes up to Jack Black and he says, I don't think I should be in the band. I'm not cool enough. But Jack Black encourages him, and this is the first kind of moment where he starts to connect with the kids. He gives him the pep talk of, you know what, you are cool enough. Because if you're committed to the rock band, and you're doing cool things with your music and making art, you are cool. And he gives him this little handshake. Let's rock today. And then we go and we assign the other kids roles, and Jack Black goes down the line and he gives every kid a nickname as he is assigning them a role, which is really cute. And there's even this one kid that's like, can I be the band stylist instead? And Jack Black's like, of course you can, Fancy Pants, just doesn't even blink an eye. This is 2003. And in the morning, the next day at school, Summer is pissed because she's been assigned a groupie. Anyways, so she gets to be the band manager. So he starts to discuss what the schedule for rock and roll lessons are going to be for the kids. And the kids ask, so what are we going to sing? And Jack Black says, well, I've got some great material for the school project, Rock Band. And they're like, well, sing your song. And Jack Black brings it. In the end of time. Da-da. He sings The Legend of the Rent. And this is just such a great example of Jack Black's musical comedy genius. After class that day, Jack Black is handing out CDs and Taste, first of all. That rock and roll, I mean, it just won't go away.
That rock and roll, That rock and roll, it just won't go away.
Of course, everyone loves Dark Side of the Moon, which brings me to Tamika, who decides to put herself out there and sing. And he lets her sing in the band as a backup singer. Right after this, we get our montage. We get a little montage of them teaching rock and roll. And oh my God, can we talk about the chalkboard of all the different genres and bands? How neat is that? And you know, we get to see a bunch of different things that the kids are learning, and we really see it start to integrate into their classroom, and they're all really coming out of their shells as kids. Freddie starts to rolled up his sleeves of his uniform, and Miss Mullins gets mad at him, and one of the kids is like, hey, Miss Mullins, you're the man. And she goes, thank you, Frankie. Little does she know. So there's still a problem though. Jack Black still needs Miss Mullins to let him take the kids on a field trip. And he overhears in the teacher's lounge that Miss Mullins is always uptight, except for that one time at the Christmas party where she got up on the table and started doing a Stevie Nicks impersonation. But before that though, they have to go audition for Battle of the Bands. And when they're going to audition, Tamika goes up to Jack Black and she's like,
Cause I'm fat?
Tamika, you've got talent, girl. You heard of Aretha Franklin, right? Okay, she's a big lady, but when she starts singing, she blows people's minds. Everybody wants to party with Aretha!
Everyone wants to party with her. Then he has to go rescue Freddie because he started to hang out with the posers of the rock and roll scene that are just hanging out in their van before their audition or after, whatever. But they missed the window to audition. So actually Summer, little mini iCarly, comes up with the idea, and Jack Black tells the audition guy that these kids, they're terminal, and they have stickitodemaniosis. They get into Battle of the Bands out of pity, and in the next scene, as they're driving back to school, they get to play Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin, and it's actually a really cool story. Jack Black, had everyone on the set of the cast and crew beg Led Zeppelin to let them have that little part of the song for the movie, and they got it. It's notoriously hard to get Led Zeppelin songs in movies, unfortunately. When they get back to school, the kids that were coming up with the name for the band come up with the name for the band, which is also the name of the movie, School of Rock. After school that day, Jack decides, and I keep calling him Jack. I mean, we know that we're talking about the character, but I just think of him as Jack Black. I feel like they're just kind of synonymous. So I'm gonna keep calling him Jack, honestly. So Jack has to narrow in on getting that field trip signed off with Roz, Miss Mullins. He calls her Roz. And he takes her to go get coffee, and they end up going to a bar. And she's like, "Are you sure you don't have any coffee?" The waiter's like, "Uh-huh." I don't know why, but that guy cracks me up. And anyways, he starts playing Edge of 17 by Stevie Nicks, and they, have this like Stevie Nicks moment, and she's like, "You know what? If it's educational, I guess you can, take them. We'll make an exception for you to take them on a field trip. But all good things must come to an end." And Ned has received a check from Horace Green Elementary School, and he tries to call the school, and Dewey tells him the truth of what's going on, that he stole his identity and has been pretending to be him, substituting at this school to make some extra cash to pay rent. So, and it's also parents' night, and Miss Mullins asked Jack to go to the school with her for parents' night, and let's just say it does not go well. Yeah, so Patty calls the police, and the kids are all like, the next day, the kids are all, "Man, I can't believe he was lying to us." But a couple of the kids say, "You know what though, we worked too long and too hard to not play the show." So they decide to go on the school bus and pick up Jack at his house and convince him to go to Battle of the Bands. And so they go backstage, and they're getting ready to perform, and Jack's old band is playing on stage. Jack Black gives this impassioned speech about, it's not my band, it's our band, and then they pray to the god of rock. At this point in the film, you can see that Jack Black's character is just completely committed to being a great teacher to these kids, and sees the vision for all of them, and just really appreciates all of their individual skills and talents. And it's really awesome to see. It's a great movie about being a teacher and the great things that teachers can do for kids. And I don't know, but I wish I had Jack Black as a teacher growing up. I feel like that would have made things a lot more fun, even if it was actually just about math. Back at the school though, the parents are all understandably pissed, and then one of the teachers runs out of the classroom and is like, "Oh my god, all the kids are missing." And I just have to say, poor Miss Mullins. So the parents show up to Battle of the Bands, and they're trying to get in. "Our kids are in there, they're 10 years old, someone has kidnapped them." And then they just end up going to get tickets. And so they all push their way impressively to the front of the mosh. The School of Rock comes on stage, and they decided to play Zach's song. And they totally crush their performance. It's beautiful.
And if you wanna be a teacher,
I absolutely love this part of the movie. And even though they lose to Jack Black's old band, they still did a killer show. And the kids are the ones that tell Jack, "Hey, come on, we did a great show." And then they go and get to play an encore because the crowd absolutely loved them. And then actually backstage, there's this part where Spider and Miss Mullins kind of flirt with each other, and it's really funny. And then at the end of the movie, you see that Jack Black has started his own school, the School of Rock, an after-school program, and they teach kids how to rock out. And they sing "It's a Long Way to the Top" if you want to rock and roll, and it's absolutely amazing. Man, The School of Rock is one of those movies that just, for me, I think there's so many quotable lines, and Jack Black's performance is so iconic, and I think it really has defined who he is as an actor in his, future roles. He's always playing that kind of doopy guy that still has a lot of wisdom deep down and has a heart of gold. Another thing I really like about this movie is the fact that it centers kids, because I feel like you always get movies about wonder kids, like the Chosen One kids, like Harry Potter and stuff. But this one, you know, it's just about a bunch of kids and what makes them unique and what makes them individuals and how all of their talents get to shine through. I also think it's so cool how ahead of its time it was, like socially, when it comes to that kind of thing, individualism and stuff. And I mean, last but not least, the lessons about being cool. And I think that is what makes rock and roll such an important genre to understand and to appreciate. I think there's so much to love about the way that rock and roll embodies not just a generation of music enjoyers and, you know, rebellion, but the way that it celebrates individuality and it celebrates expressing yourself and, you know, really sticking it to the man, because it really is, and it's dumb, but it's important to stick it to the man because there are so many embodiments of that opposing force on our lives. And I mean, I don't know about you, but I mean, it feels so great to get mad in a constructive way. When you can channel your anger or channel your frustration into something like music or, you know, whatever that medium is for you. For me, it's, you know, writing and, you know, even just doing stuff like going for a walk and listening to music myself and listening to podcasts or interviews of my favorite artists. I think that there's so much to be found in, you know, really utilizing that frustration and kind of understanding where it comes from. And also in the sense of, you know, coolness and being cool. Jack Black's character talks to two kids in particular who feel like they stand out more than the rest of the kids for their own reasons. Lawrence, the keyboardist, who ends up being like literally the coolest. He probably would have been a fan favorite if they were like a real band. You know, Lawrence he doesn't feel like, it's really sad. He says, no one ever talks to me, you know, I'm not cool enough to be in a band. But I think that goes to show it's about how you view yourself. And Tamika, she felt nervous about singing because she viewed herself as fat. And whether these things, you know, no one ever talks to me or I'm fat or whatever insecurities you might have, and we all have them, and it's important to understand where they come from and what they mean. But to have an insecurity and then to go forth into the world and be yourself despite those insecurities and despite those shortcomings that you might have, that is what makes you cool. I mean, not having the greatest clothes. And it's something that we learn at a young age, but I think it's so easy to forget these basic, simple lessons as we get older because it's so easy to just, you know, get caught up in the rat race and just keep running because we have to serve the man in order to survive in this society, in order to fit in with one another, in order to do things the way that we need to do them so that we can have a fulfilling life without sacrificing too much. And being cool is something that we all want because it gives you that leverage to, you know, make new friends. It gives you that leverage to find community. It gives you that leverage to find people that care about things that you care about. And if you don't feel cool, you never can be cool. It's something that is not self-reflexive. It just has to be a part of the way you express yourself and the way that you feel about yourself. Like Jack Black, he's damn cool. He's a 10 out of 10, everything. But not because of the objective things that we value in society. Because of who he is, because of what he does, and because of the things that he makes us feel. And that is the lesson I hope we all can learn from the School of Rock. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's Always so much fun to create these little movie Mondays for you. Stay tuned and we'll see you next time.